So, who do you think the most difficult audience is to speak to? Do you know speaking in public is one of the greatest fears people have? One time I was reading an article and it was saying that people fear speaking in public more than a lion. Can you imagine? Well, who do you think it might be? You think it might be your peers, or maybe celebrities, or maybe a bunch of kids? Well, let me tell you, I've done it, and I think one of the most difficult audiences to speak to are high schoolers. I remember speaking to them, and their faces are just kind of blank. And it made me think about Ezekiel. So I've been reading in the book of Ezekiel, and we know our Bibles. We know that Ezekiel was a prophet that God sent to a stubborn people. So I want to read the scripture in Ezekiel 2:3. It says, "Son of man, I am sending you to the children of Israel, to a rebellious nation that has rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me this very day." Great. Ezekiel's being sent to a bunch of teenagers, rebellious. And how do we know that? God calls them the children of Israel. And we know that they had hard hearts and they were always rebelling. So as we continue, let's read verse 7. It says, "You shall speak my words to them, whether they hear you or refuse, for they are rebellious. But you, son of man, hear what I say to you. Do not be rebellious like the rebellious house. Open your mouth, eat what I give you." So here he's telling them, you know what? I want you to tell them whether they hear you or not. Again, it's kind of like the teenagers. Are you hearing me? I know raising 3 boys, I had a lot of that. You sit there and tell them over and over again, and you wonder, are you hearing me? It was kind of like Ezekiel in this. Let's continue on to read about what he had to do. "When I say to the wicked, you shall surely die, and you shall give him no warning, nor speak to them, warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life. That same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood I require on your hand. And if you warn the wicked, and he does not turn from his wickedness or his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but you have delivered your soul." So what is the scripture telling us? It's saying, if you warn them about it, and they don't follow what you do, you're off the hook. But if you never tell them, then his blood is on your hands. It's so important for us in the time in which we live to tell people, not to be afraid of their faces, not to be afraid if there's no responses, and definitely not to be afraid of them if they're teenagers. And again in Ezekiel 3, we read, "Again, when a righteous man turns from his righteousness and commits iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die, because you did not give him a warning. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness which he has done shall not be remembered, but his blood I'll require on your hand. Nevertheless," and here's the key, "if I warn the righteous man that the righteous should not sin, and he does not sin, he shall surely live because he took the warning. Also, you would have delivered your soul." There we have it. Ezekiel did what the Lord had asked him to do. And so when the righteous man made a mistake, it wasn't upon Ezekiel. It's very important. The Bible tells us to preach the word in season and out. This is a season where God is sending us to the nations. He's sending us saying, I need your mouth. I need you to speak to the hard-hearted people. I need you to speak to the soft-hearted people. I need you to speak to all the people, and the teenagers above all. What do I mean when I say the teenagers? I don't mean just in the natural, but there are those that are just coming into the Lord, or maybe those that are close to coming into the Lord, and sometimes we're embarrassed or we're afraid. We need not be afraid. Like Ezekiel, we got to be tough. The Bible says Ezekiel was tough, and God asked him to do some tough things. Well, God's asking us right now, will you speak to the teenagers? You'll be glad you did.